Lesson 7, Quantification of Elements and Compounds. You all know that all the substances are made out of the smallest particle known as the atom. If you recall the structure of an atom, you know that it contains neutrons and protons in the middle or in the nucleus, and the electrons are going to be orbited around them. So usually the mass of an atom is due to protons. Have you ever thought what might be the mass of an atom or how to measure the mass of an atom? Usually to measure large objects, we use kilograms, grams as the units. But if we measure the mass of an atom in kilograms and in grams, the amount we get as the mass of an atom is going to be extremely low. Even if we use the units milligrams or micrograms, the value we are going to get is very small. Even the attogram, which is the smallest unit of mass, is too larger to indicate the mass of an atom. As it's going to get very small figures, it's troublesome in the calculations of the atoms. The scientists who were interested in measuring the mass of the atoms came to an idea of using the mass of a selected atom as the unit, as expressing the mass of atom relative to that atom. For example, if we want to measure the length of a table, but if we don't have a measuring tape with us, what can we do? Okay, we can use a pencil or a stick instead of the measuring tape to indicate or to get an idea about the table. For example, we can take it the measurement as a factor. Okay, so at the end we might be getting an answer like the length of the table is going to be like 3 times like the length of the stick. Likewise, the scientists use the mass of C12 or the carbon-12 isotope to measure the mass of the other atoms. The reason to use the carbon-12 isotope is that it's commonly found and it's stable. So, they define a unit as the atomic mass unit. It is denoted by the mass of carbon-12 isotope is going to be divided by 12. So the amount we are going to get is 1.66 into 10 to the minus 24 grams. So here the mass of carbon is due to the number of proton and neutrons in its atom. So the mass number of carbon is 12. So we divide the mass of carbon atom by 12 to find the mass of one particle of carbon-12. So we can get an idea that carbon atom equals to 12 hydrogen atoms. Here the carbon atoms are denoted by the black color and the hydrogen atoms are denoted by a yellow color. So that means 12 hydrogen atoms are going to be equal to one carbon atom. Then the scientists came to a new way to find the mass of an element. They divide the mass of an element with the atomic mass unit, and they knew or defined that thing as the relative atomic mass. So here relative means a comparison. They compare the mass of a given element with atomic mass unit. So as it's going to be a relative thing, there are no units for the relative atomic mass.
So the scientists were able to find the atomic masses of different elements. You can see in the table, the atomic mass of hydrogen is going to be 1, carbon it's going to be 12, nitrogen it's 14, oxygen it's 16. So likewise, for all the elements, the scientists have calculated the atomic masses.
You know that the atoms do not consist as free. Usually they form compounds, for example, carbon dioxide, water. So if we want to find the mass of such compounds, Again, we can compare the mass of that compound with the atomic mass unit.